Sadhguru, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. We spent the last 2 days here in the ashram. Wonderful, wonderful atmosphere. People have been so welcoming, so it's a pity that we didn't come here earlier. And of course we got initiated to Isha Kriya, so we give you our commitment that we will do that on a daily basis. So before we jump into any of the questions, obviously you know a lot about Cisco. If I just mention the name Cisco, what comes to your mind right away?
Maybe one of the companies which survived the .com. That's how I saw Cisco early 21st century. Now many things might have changed, I'm not very conversant, but
It's good to know at least we have survived, so that's good. So we are ready to compete with the next generation of companies. But it's an exhilarating time to be alive. It's a wonderful time to be in the technology industry with so much change happening. Really never before in the history of mankind have so many changes happened at the same time. A lot of positives, of course there are some negative things happening in the world as well. And I just wanted to go back to something that you talk about routinely, which is the difference between changing and transforming. Cisco has been around for about 30 plus years, and we've become a $50 billion company, and we are known for thought leadership and innovation in the industry. But we do know that what got us to where we are today will not get us to where we need to go. And I know you define change as bringing some remnant of your past with you, and transformation is really something where you don't bring your past with you. And if you put yourself in our shoes, what do we bring from our past? Because it's obviously contributed a lot to our success. And what don't we bring from our past, and what should we really focus on moving forward?
You know, I'm not a business person. But for me, whatever the nature of an industry or business, though for immediate reasons people think in terms of balance sheets, the real thing is about creating something that is of some consequence and some transformation in the world. Whether it's running a school here, or an ashram, or a technology company, as far as I'm concerned, the intent is same. That is, it is about human well-being. How much can we enhance human well-being? That's all the intent is. It may find expression in so many different ways. In that context, when we say change, I know this is a word which, you know, even got people elected to presidency. Just one word, change. Well, after some time, jokes going around in America about these things. Let me tell you one. A man went to a restaurant and ordered a soup. The soup came, he was slurping through the soup and he found there were coins in the soup. Then he screamed and called the waiter, "How come there are coins in my soup?" He said, "Well, sir, last time you came, you said unless there is a change in the menu, you're not going to come here again." So, a lot of people are taking change as some kind of a mantra. It's become a kind of an addiction. Everybody wants to change. I don't think anybody needs to change. Everybody needs to keep their eyes open. If the situations are changing, we must adapt to that. Or if we're in the business of creating new situations, then we must look at that completely differently. But I want to change for what? Purposeless change is meaningless to me. Everybody wants to change. Change has become a philosophy. No, it should not become a philosophy. If there is a need, we must be agile to change.
Sure.
I would recommend agility instead of change. Many things need not change. Many things need not change. If everything has to change, we are making a statement on humanity that till now we've been absolutely wrong. That's why we need to change everything. Now, many things we have done right, a few things maybe we have done it wrong, but above all, the situations may change. Because the situations change, we are only… if you're agile, we change quickly, otherwise we'll be dragged into it after some time.
Sure, sure. No, thank you. Thank you so much for clarifying that. We are obviously very proud of our company, and we're very proud of the culture that we've built over the years. And we certainly don't want to lose any aspect of that. We truly believe that our people are the only sustainable competitive advantage for us as an organization. And I know you routinely talk about the fact that people development directly equates to profitability. Clearly, without people development, I don't think organizations can necessarily continue to grow and flourish, because at the end of the day, they are the sustainable differentiator for us. Would you agree with that? And what efforts can we take to continue to invest in the development of our people?
I don't agree with that, because it's not at the end of the day. From the first moment,
Sure.
It's people and people and people which makes the difference.
Sure.
So, not at the end of the day we think of the people, no. The entire human activity is about the people, by the people. Well, sometimes it works for the people, sometimes it doesn't, but it's definitely by the people, there's no two ways about it. So right from first moment, the competence and capabilities that we build into individual human beings is going to determine what we are going to do or not going to do. So, at the end of the day, maybe money, but the beginning is people, the middle is people, all through it's people.
Thank you. Good to know that. Shifting gears, clearly, if you think about the world that we live in, it all necessitates almost everybody to take risks. And you can call it calculated risks or otherwise. People have a tendency to shy away from risk-taking because of the fact that it's associated with failure. And obviously we cannot make failure a habit. So taking risks would necessarily mean operating out of your comfort zone or safety net. Would it be right to force people to operate out of their comfort zone all the time? And then how do you balance risk-taking and failure in a corporate world?
See, if one takes a longer stride than the fellow travelers, it gets termed as risk. If one takes a leap, that'll get termed as weird. If one takes a big leap over a chasm that you cannot fathom, then that's called a crazy leap. But without a longer stride, without a leap, and without a crazy leap, nothing significant has ever been done by any human being. But of course, there is also something called as fatal leap. Because we must decide whether we want to do a venture or an adventure or an exploration or a fatal leap. Well, what one person thinks is an adventure, somebody thinks is madness. What one person thinks is risk-taking, another person looks at it as not good enough for where we are. So these are all different opinions and different ways of looking at things. For one who is competent at a certain level, what is effortless, if another man tries to do the same thing, he will break himself down.
Sure.
So it depends on the nature of the industry, the nature of the people who are running it. For many people, it may be best to just sustain themselves where they are. If they attempt something big risk, they will crack up. Not everybody is made for that. So trying to encourage a culture of risk-taking could be dangerous. First of all, I don't want anybody to look at it as, I'm a risk-taker or not. I see this kind of demographic division happening in the corporate thing. These are risk-takers, these are not risk-takers. And what I see is, something needs to be done. Do you go all out and do it, or do you do it with a hold back? Depends on the times in which you are in, what stage of development are you are in, as an individual and as a business,
Sure.
as an organization. So at certain stages you have to jump maybe. At certain stages when things are going well, you want to have a smooth sailing because there may be many internal things to fix. When a large organization is functioning, there are 1,000 things inside, riggings to be fixed all the time. If you don't fix those riggings, if you don't fix your sails properly and suddenly you go into a wild sea, that'll be foolish. But who is to decide this? Well, this is the business of the captain. That is why he is paid, that is why he is honored, and that's why he is hung. If things go well, he is honored, if things don't go well, he is hung. Leadership comes with these things. Leadership doesn't come with just people clapping their hands. Leadership just doesn't come everybody looking up to you. It comes with enormous risk. One mistake, the same people will be throwing stones at you. Yes?
Yes.
So, one must understand, if you want to walk at a certain height, there is a risk of falling, always, no question. Crawling on the ground is the safest thing to do.
Sure.
Even walking is dangerous, you could trip and fall. Running is more dangerous, cycling becomes more dangerous, a motorcycle becomes much more dangerous. Flying an airplane is crazy, all right? So, I'm telling you, it's just 100 years since the Wright brothers flew. 100 years ago, what was considered to be the most dangerous thing to do? Today you said most of the time you're on a plane.
Yes.
When something that was considered to be dangerous became a norm of the day, it may take certain amount of time, a certain amount of life, certain amount of experience and wisdom and so many things. Put together, this becomes a possibility. So if you are captaining a large ship, you can't risk the entire ship every time you want to do something. So if you want to take risk-taking, there'll be some crazies. There'll be some crazies anyway, everywhere. You got to put them in a small boat and throw them out into the sea. See what happens. If they make it, then maybe we can direct the ship in that direction. If you take the whole ship in that direction straight away with all the people and everything involved, that could be a disaster. So, there are many ways of doing it, there's no particular way.
Sure.
But this is building up like an ideology, risk-takers and non-risk-takers. I think it's a very unhealthy thing. Risk-taking is not for fun. You take a risk because you clearly see that you're able to do something in a brief amount of time, which would take 100 years for others to do. That's the whole idea. The reason for a longer stride is so that you're ahead. You're able to do something ahead of others. If you want to do something ahead of others, first of all, you must be able to see ahead of others, isn't it? So insight is very, very important, that you are able to see something that others are not yet seeing. Only then you can take a step,
Sure.
which everybody thinks is very risky, but you know it's just play. Okay?
Is that something that would be applicable, for example, to the high-tech industry? Simply because in the high-tech industry today, in years past, it used to take 3, 4, 5 years for a particular technology to be conceived and implemented at scale. And today that window of time is shrunk to about 4 or 5 months. And if you miss that window of opportunity, you find yourself either being a follower or completely cut out of the marketplace. So does that necessitate organizations to actually go out on the ledge a little bit and take calculated bets, if not risks?
See, whatever activity we picked up in our life to do, whether it's business or a school or a spiritual process or anything, we have to be agile. to be relevant, there's no question about that. If you don't know how to be agile, you must teach history. That's one thing that doesn't change. So, if you're talking about crafting the future in some way, you got to be agile. When you're agile, people will think you're crazy, because when you're agile, largely people will see you standing on one foot. The other foot will be looking somewhere else where there is no land yet. The other foot is searching for land which is not yet. So people see you standing on one foot and they think you're crazy. So, you are putting your foot up like this and doing this and nobody sees any land there. People naturally think you're crazy. Now the question is, can you create that land which is not there? And put your foot there where suddenly other people think it's a wow, all right? But if you did not create that land, you had your foot hanging in the sky, then of course you'll be ridiculed. So, when we are in any… it's not just technology, believe me, in anything, if we are not agile, we will be history. So that's why I said the best thing is teach history because nothing changes. You don't have to be agile on that.
Sure, sure. So if you are an individual, I mean, clearly there are passions that you have, there are skills that you have, but then the opportunities need to be given to you to actually perform at your best level. Now, in situations where the opportunities are not given to individuals who are extremely passionate about doing something new or are using their skills to come out again with either a new product or a new innovation or something like that, and the organization does not create an environment for somebody to use their passion and their talent, what specific skill sets would you have to develop to actually pull the organization towards you to make the larger context see your way? That's much, much more difficult to do, which is why there are fewer and fewer inventions in the world, simply because the organizations don't align with individuals, it's the other way around.
I think fewer inventions are a product of our schooling. Our schooling doesn't encourage individual genius. It is an industry.
Sure.
We're trying to create a different kind of school, mainly because we don't want this to be an industry. We want this to be like a garden where each plant is cultivated in a certain way. You cannot cultivate a coconut tree and a mango tree the same way. But you can run a coconut husk industry, but you cannot run a coconut plant industry. Similarly, you can't do a school like an industry. Because we are doing that like an industry, you are not finding much of human genius when it comes to professional work and even scientific work. There are many things about the science that's going on today. The actual fundamental science, which is really probing into something, is a very small quantity or a very small number of people involved in this. The rest of the science is all about grants. And what we already know in a very complicated way, they're going to tell us, okay? What we have known forever, in a very complex way, they're going to tell us with a long research and billions of dollars gone down. So that is not science for me. The real science is about really probing the existence for something new that we do not know as yet. So similarly in business, similarly in any activity, there is an opportunity to probe this. But in an organization, let us say 10,000 people are working, the problem is, particularly in India, everybody thinks he's a genius. Everybody is in some way, but whether the genius is flowered or a seed is acting like a flower is something somebody has to take a call on. So those who lead the organizations at various levels in the organization, they must keep an eye open as to where people should fall into the system, where we should allow individual genius to operate. If you If you do the genius stuff without or disrupting the system, you won't have an organization. But if you curb all genius because of the safety of the systemic operation is safe, then nothing new will happen, nothing creative will happen. After some time, nobody knows why the hell they are there. It'll happen. So, where to give that latitude and where not to is a leader's call.
Sure.
Is it always perfect? No. Unfortunately, no. When you're handling human beings, it doesn't matter how carefully you evaluate things, you're not always right. Nobody's right, believe me, even I am not. Though I have a different sense of people, I don't judge them by their actions. I judge them by the potential they carry within them. They may not know the potential, because I judge them by that, but in spite of that, you are not 100% right ever. They can always surprise you or disappoint you in so many different ways, it's always there. But it's the leader's call. When you take that call, you could be right, you could be wrong. That's where success and failure is. See, this one part of the question touched this. Today, a whole lot of people, this has become fashionable to say, you must learn from your failures. So somebody is saying, either we win or we learn. Well, I tell you, you keep learning. Now, the very purpose of human activity is success, isn't it? When you do something, whether it's simple or complex, do you want to be successful with your activity or no? Not just some great business or something else. Even if you throw a ball, you want to hit what you want to hit, isn't it? It's not about anything. The purpose of action is success. Nobody wants to do activity intending to fail. So, success is important. The moment you start eulogizing failure, oh, you can learn a lot from failure, please keep learning, I don't want to be in that company. You can learn a lot, please learn all your life.
Makes total sense. Thank you, thank you. Companies have been global for a very long time, and obviously whenever you have a global operating model, you've got people working in different countries, different time zones, and a number of those people you don't even see physically, and you connect with them through electronic media. Decisions are also made in different time zones, and sometimes you make decisions on behalf of your peers and your colleagues somewhere else. So business is being done on the basis of trust. And people also feel comfortable in somebody else making a decision in a different time zone, in a different part of the world. How do you continue to foster an environment of trust where everyone has each other's backs in a model that is continuing to become more and more global?
See, without an atmosphere of trust, nothing significant can happen, because when 2 people or 10 people become cautious about each other, it's gone. Mm-hmm. The very possibility of creating something beautiful is gone. It is only possible when seamlessly we can do things with each other. There is no fear of one person exploiting the other, there is no fear of one person doing something harmful to the other. Only then there will be trust. Building this atmosphere takes a lot of work, because people are made like this. Even if an ant bites them, suddenly they will become suspicious about everything. They think everybody in the universe is going to bite them. Yes, because that is the nature of pain. If little pain happens, they remember only that. So many things happened, it doesn't matter, but little pain happened, they'll remember only that. Now they think entire universe is out to bite them. Once this comes, there'll be no trust. Once there is no trust, creating anything beautiful becomes out of the realm of that group of people. This is why in a company, in our organization, a system is needed. that you don't have to go by individual trust all the time, because simply because people are so different, not even necessary that they are deceptive, they're so different, every individual. So trust is difficult on an individual level. Very rarely two human beings come to a place where they can trust each other absolutely. So, trust is a difficult thing to achieve on individual levels. It is better to create a system that they will trust. So, it's very important that you have a good system.
Yes.
Here and there, individuals can pop up and express their genius, but there must be a fabric of very good system, a system that they will trust. Because a system is a product of everybody's contribution and participation. That is something that they will trust. That is something that can be debated. But if I debate your integrity, whether you can be trusted or not, immediately it becomes totally bad scene. But I can debate whether your company's system is trustworthy or not, is it fair to everybody or not, we can discuss that. Whether you are fair to everybody or not, once we bring up this debate, it's over, isn't it?
Yes.
So instead of always going by individual trust, which is hard to achieve, very hard to achieve, it is better to create a system that everybody trusts, and of course individuals have to develop some sense of trust. If they're totally not trusting each other's system, it will also fail. That much trust is possible.
Makes a total lot of sense. Staying with organizational dynamics, I'm sure you've heard this mentioned hundreds of times, that the boss is always right. And invariably that's what controls meetings and decision making. In India, of course, we have particular challenges with that paradigm. The Western countries seem to handle that much better. But what are your reactions to that statement, that the boss always right?
See, once you give the decision-making authority to an individual person or a group of people, you can't be questioning it every day. Right now, if you take the nation as an example, you elect a leader. You must give him a certain amount of practical amount of time to see whether he is doing right or doing wrong. Either you are over-anxious or you are just devious. That, I hear this, not just here they didn't talk about it. In major countries in the world, today you elect somebody, tomorrow somebody is saying he must go. Tomorrow. In 24 hours' time, what was he supposed to do? He was just partying for the day that he got elected. This is not good, because we must understand this. In a company, it may not be so democratic as in a nation, but it's still democratic. In some way, that person has earned that space, isn't it? It may not be by voting, it may be a selection.
Sure.
But selection is still democratic in some way. Maybe a board has selected him, that board has taken the decision based on how many people feel about it.
And credentials.
Yes. Yeah. There may not be an actual ballot box, but there is some sense of democracy there also. So once you elect or select a person to perform a certain duty, you have to allow him certain amount of time, space and resource to achieve what he intends to. And whenever a new person comes, he may have his own thinking, he may have his own vision, he may have his own style of function, which everybody may not understand. But you have to give him at least a reasonable amount of time to show that what he is doing is moving in a positive direction. If you don't give that time, it's an unfair way of doing things. Boss is always right, I think comes from… I understand it as it comes from that point of view, that you have to give him time. Let's go by what he says, let's see where we go. So if you have a captain of the ship, if every sailor is going to tell him how to go, then it's doomed. For every small thing, constantly bickering with one who is heading the organization is not going to take any organization forward, because it needs a decisive penetration, and it always takes one man to take those calls. And there must be one man who will be honored for that or who will be hung for that. There must be that man, otherwise how?
Sure. Okay. Next question is, I'm really looking forward to your answer on this one.
I'm sorry if the other answers were disappointing.
No. Cisco is a company that's getting younger and younger, just much like India as a country. There are so many millennial populations in the workforce, and obviously in the coming years we will get even more younger. But if you think about it, when we talk to people who want to join Cisco as an employer, they don't really worry too much about the compensation or the title or anything like that. What they tell us is either you're cool enough to be my employer or not.
They must come to me.
I'm sure the room resonates.
All those guys, you must send them to me.
In your mind, what is the definition of organizational coolness and individual coolness?
See, that obviously, probably this is the effect of global warming. That when we were growing up in 60s and 70s, if something was good, we said, oh man, it's hot. Now this generation saying it's cool. It must be the impact of global warming. They're seeking coolness because the weather is hot. So, what makes something desirable for people to be in? Of course, basic survival remunerations may be of some concern, of course, in the world. Well, we run an organization where that's not at all a concern. There are many people here, even if you offer them forcefully offer a compensation, they reject. So…
Comes from here.
Huh?
That work comes
Yes.
from here.
So, we are very fortunate to have all of them here. But in a business organization where people are looking for careers, survival, that is of some importance, which I feel almost any organization, business organization takes care of to the certain extent. Somebody may be more, somebody may be less, but basic things are definitely taken care of. So the next thing, what makes it cool? I don't like to use the… what makes it hot? I'm from that generation. Sure. See, people want to be a part of something that is constantly stepping into a new dimension, which is very difficult and dangerous for a business to achieve. I'm saying dangerous, though many companies have done that in recent times. But you must understand that things are written only about the successes. How many hundreds drowned in this? You don't know. See, if you look back at history, everybody talks about Vasco da Gama and Columbus, Christopher Columbus. But nobody talks about those hundreds of expeditions which drowned in the Pacific and the Indian Ocean. So, what makes it cool is, even those who drowned, they also thought it was cool to explore a new world. In those days, India was a new world, America was a new world. To go into that new world, the daring that it took, definitely they were cool, but they got in the Pacific, Atlantic, they got too cold. All right. In Indian Ocean, they drowned anyway in warm waters. Why I'm saying this is, trying to be cool, a lot of people have committed suicide. Just a few days ago, I think this video is going around everywhere. In India, he's speaking in Telugu, so he must be in Andhra Pradesh or Telangana. And this guy taking a selfie, cool. Okay, a train is coming. This guy wants to do this at the train and take this. Somebody's telling me, hey, move out, the training is coming. He said, just wait, don't worry. And he's got a camera and like this. The train hit his hand. The camera flew, of course, the cell phone flew, and obviously he would have lost his arm, if not his life.
Sure.
I don't know what happened to him. So this is all cool stuff. So it is important that if you have lots of young people in the organization, they want a certain atmosphere. See, what is cool keeps changing every 2 years. It used to change every 20 years, now it's every 2 years it changes. If you try to keep up with that, you may become a hip-hop company, not a technology company after some time. So, it is an element which you need to measure very carefully. In trying to be cool, you shouldn't become some trashy stuff, you know. I feel people are not… on the surface, yes, they're looking for something cool, but what really grabs people's imagination, young people, what they want is some adventure. Adventure is hot, not cool. I'm arguing for my generation, okay? Adventure is always hot. Adventure is risky. If you cross the risk successfully, we call it adventure. If you are not successful, then that's called a disaster. So, how to create an atmosphere where people can adventure in some safety is the whole question. There are many ways to do this. As I said, when you want to do an adventure, you don't take the whole ship and go. You let out a small boat with a bunch of crazies, and crazies are usually competent. Yes it is that competence which gives them the little madness. When there is no competence, they will be stable.
Risk takers.
I wouldn't say that. I don't want to use that word but I would say, when there is a certain level of competence, you want to walk the edge. If there was no competence or there was not enough competence, naturally they would play it safe. So you're agile on your feet, now you want to dance. Otherwise you walk. If it is not good at all your legs, you use a walking stick and walk, it's safe that way. Now this may be in the body, this may be in the mind, the agility. One may have a mind which is agile but may not have a supporting body This is why you must group the crazies together, you must get them sufficiently frustrated so that they must understand individually they'll never get an opportunity to do anything adventurous in the company. But if 5 of you come together, we will give you an opportunity to do adventure, we'll invest in your adventure, because adventure takes investments. So you put them in a small boat, initially on a rope, and let them adventure. See, even if you're on a rope in high seas, it's still an adventure, it throws you around So when you see that they're really competent, let go the rope, let it see, it's a risk. Maybe you have some rescue missions ready, but you let them go. So I would say every company should do this. If you have 10,000 employees, you must at least find 5 to 10 groups, a minimum of 5 people, a maximum of 25 people kind of groups, who will build their own businesses which are complementary to the main business. This is the mothership and the baby ship should go out. If you do that, not all of them may hit something big, but inevitably somebody will hit something big.
True.
Even if they don't hit anything big, your flotilla becomes much more stable than everybody being on one ship.
Correct.
And the flotilla is yours because you're investing in it, it's controlled by you, but they're doing the adventure. And in case somebody drowns, it's a small thing that drowns, it's not the whole thing. I think this much if you create, a lot of young people would want to be there. Now you will have to invest on these adventurers and keep a tight leash on their budgets yes, and make sure they're adventuring, not, not partying by themselves. Why I'm saying this is because I have seen these things. When you put people on adventure, initially they're fired up, after some time, their knees are also hurting, climbing the mountain. They party too often. When I say party, not necessarily party, but you know,
Have a good time.
company expense. So you have to keep… An adventurer means he should not seek comfort. You're seeking adventure, you should not be seeking comfort. You must sleep on a bunker bed. Because you are looking for adventure, you must go through different conditions. I am risking investments on you, you are not going to get the same salary that somebody else who sits in the office and does routine job gets. You pay him the routine job more because he goes through the ignominy of being not cool. Isn't it? Now you're cool. When you're cool, you don't have to buy trousers which cost $1,000 for the tear. You buy a $10 trousers and it tears.
Fair enough. Can I ask you some rapid questions, one sentence answers, if possible?
Okay. Rapid questions or rapid answers?
Rapid answers. So in one sentence, can you describe India?
A phenomenon.
All right. What does yoga mean to you?
Yoga is everything to me.
Okay.
And yoga means everything. Yoga means union, which means everything. The individual and the universal meets, it's everything.
Sure. If you went to sleep now and woke up 20 years from now, what do you expect the world to look like?
Oh, I think I'll be dead.
Okay. Which is more important, strategy or operations?
This is like asking whether your right leg is more important, left leg is more important to reach your destination.
Okay, that's a good answer. It's progress or perfection?
Oh, the only thing common about them is both start with P.
Which do you think is more important though?
I don't believe in perfection because
It doesn't exist.
life is such, the nature of life is such, there is room for constant evolution and development. Perfection, the only thing that's perfect about human life is death. Nobody died imperfectly,
Sure.
but nobody lived perfectly ever.
Fair enough. How about honesty or authenticity?
Honesty?
Or authenticity?
Oh, what is authenticity? That's not honesty.
Okay. How many hours do you sleep in a day? And what is your at-rest pulse rate?
How many hours I sleep, usually I don't decide. The world decides how many hours I sleep. For almost 25 years, I managed with 2.5 hours on an average. These days I'm much lazier, I'm kind of…
3 hours.
No, on an average I must be sleeping 4.5 hours per day. But that's not every day.
Okay.
Some days I sleep little more, some days I don't sleep. It's like that. My rest pulse rate at one time used to be 32, 33. These days, too much travel and not eating the right kind of food all over the place, whatever people give, you eat, and not enough sadhana. So I think it's somewhere between 36 to 40,
Wow.
42. It's
So
somewhere between that.
which basically means you never get tired,
Oh,
physically.
I die at the end of the day, usually.
Okay. What have you mastered?
What have I mastered? Myself, I think.
And then one last question. I know you're an avid golfer, and my boss, who's our global CIO, he's almost professional level, he's a scratch golfer. So who, in your opinion, is the better golfer, Tiger Woods or Jack Nicklaus?
Jack Nicklaus is still good. Tiger Woods has been a phenomenon like nobody. He went on bad times, he's kind of coming back a bit. Recently he's come back.
Correct.
But your boss, I would like to golf him and see.
Sure.
Because recently…
Do you have a handicap?
My handicap has been declared as 14 6 years ago.
Okay.
But 4 days ago, I finished an extremely difficult course, which is not very well managed in OT, just 1 hour. Nobody has done that course 1 hour.
Well, we should get my boss to play with you.
I thought it is there in me, but there's not enough practice or any kind of honing of skills.
Okay.
Simply once in a way I play. If I get to play 20 times in a year, I'm good. So, that's not much golfing. Never been to a driving range. But UT course finishing 1 hour is a phenomena for someone like me who's
Okay.
for a senior citizen.
So, as you know, we are doing our leadership event early next week. Do you have a closing message for us? Because there are going to be senior leaders, junior leaders, people managers, technologists, architects, individual contributors. Any closing message for them?
I think I've looked at… not now, when I was in Davos, when I met Mr. Chambers, I looked up what was Cisco at that time. I'm sure many things have changed. Somebody was telling me that you're more into security now than anything else. So if you're into security, I think one thing in India that we have not managed well is securing the nation. If you can come up with something, I have my own ideas about this, if you come up with something which can secure the borders of this nation, which will eliminate this trouble of almost every day young army officers are getting killed. When I was at the National Defense Academy, the commandant of the academy was telling me, Sadhguru, look at them, they're all 17-year-old boys. But in next 4 years, I will be getting news that somebody, one of them here, there got killed. This is a very painful job. I am raising them and sending them to your place where they may get killed. An army is not for a daily operation. Once in a way, something happens between two nations, it's okay. Every day, this happening, I think we can come up with a technology which will deal with it, no human being need to be there. Very easily, it can be done. From whatever existing technology I've seen, I'm sure it can be devised. I hope Cisco invests in that, and not only Indian soldiers, anywhere, they need not die. If you set up a security thing, nobody is going to shoot up your technology versus their technology, then it'll become irrelevant. Borders are fixed and it's fixed. There's no need to protect it, sacrificing human life all the time. Another thing I would like to tell Cisco is education. The greatest challenge of education or educating the world is producing good teachers. It's… for the requirement that we have in the world, it is an impossible task. To produce a teacher who can understand physics or chemistry or mathematics and also understands the children and also is capable of smiling through a tough formula is difficult. So if you deliver education, if you deliver physics, chemistry, mathematics on technology platforms, understanding children and smiling, we can produce people, I'm good at that. And this would make the education wonderful. When the burden of, the subject is not there on the teacher, I think they will do a fabulous job with the children. So this is an arena that a company like yours should enter big time, because this could be a solution for the future generations, that things can be done. Either they can go to school or at home or in all kinds of different atmospheres, it could be done. Right now, this has been the case that children go to school, I mean, these children are here all the time, but children go to school for 5, 6 days and 1 day is a break. You can make it the other way around. 6 days you are studying by yourself, one day you go to school for a better understanding of what happens. I'm saying there are so many possibilities. So if technology platforms are created which will effectively deliver the subject matter from first standard to 12th standard for every nation, if this can be done, you have educated the future generations and that will be the greatest contribution that a company like yours could do. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. We did talk to your office before this meeting. We wanted to invite you to our campus in Bangalore the next time you're there. We will customize an event for you where you can see the art of what is possible using video technologies and collaboration technologies in the field of education. And not only is it part of our commercial business, but we've also started using it very significantly on the philanthropic side of Cisco's activities.
I will look forward to that. Thank you very much.
Please do come to Bangalore to our campus. Thank you so much.